everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm Derek DeBurger. This is Sam Roth.
How we doing, guys?
A lot of chaos to talk about. A whole lot of chaos with the coaching carousel in football and also just the madness that was college basketball in January. It's not even March, and there's already madness. 14 ranked teams lost. And honestly, that's what we talk about. We talk about that for a long time.
Yeah, we sure do.
And then, of course, we do a recap on the best conference in all of college basketball, which is the Northeastern Conference in women's college basketball. And we do our pick'ems. So we'll see you in the episode. Thank you for watching. Hello, everybody. Well, it's cold outside.
It sure is.
It sure is, but ooh, it's warm in Tuscaloosa. That's probably why Kalen DeBoer left. I don't think the weather had much to do with it.
No, it is warmer than Washington, though.
Yeah, for the last couple of weeks, we've had terribly timed recording sessions.
I know, right?
We recorded like hours before the national championship, so we didn't actually get to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Michigan won the national championship. Yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
And so there's that, and then like
half a week later, like 3 days later.
Whatever. Like Saban was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm retiring," which kicked off a whole slew of chaos that we're gonna get into. But
we'll reopen that carousel up for those coaches a little bit.
I said I thought this would happen, except I was talking about Michigan.
Well, that's gonna happen too.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think this is even a hot take. The greatest coach of all time is out of the game.
Yep. 6th winningest college football coach of all time. He probably could have been number one if he just felt like
Keep
doing
going
it for longer. Yeah, but
game's changed a little bit.
Yeah. You didn't feel like it, so
right.
You finish at 6. With the crazy stat to me, I saw. I put it in our show notes. He had more first-round picks at Alabama than losses.
Yeah, he finished out, and this is just with
absurd.
Alabama. With Alabama, he was 206-29.
Yeah, he had 43 first-round picks at Alabama.
Yeah, 17 seasons he was with Alabama. He's won 7 national championships, all collectively, 1 at LSU.
Yeah, so 6 in his 17 years at Alabama.
Fun fact, why can't I talk? Fun fact, if you stayed all 4 years at Alabama during his tenure, you would have won at least 1 national championship.
Yep. Yeah, his last 3 seasons at Alabama was the only 3-year stretch where they didn't win a championship. Right. And then his first 2 years at Alabama, he didn't win a championship.
Right.
So really, those 6 national championships came in a 12-year span.
Which is insane. You're winning a championship every other year.
Yeah.
They three-peated 1 year.
No. Minnesota in the 30s is the only team to ever three-peat.
I thought they won, it might have been 12, 14, 15 or something like that.
They won back-to-back.
Right. It definitely did back-to-back.
At least once, but like they never three-peated.
Yeah.
Because
9-time SEC championship.
It was more than 9, I think.
No, it was 9.
I know he only had 1 loss in the SEC championship.
No. I'm saying like he won the SEC championship 9 times out of his 17 years.
Yeah, I thought he made it more times.
No, he might have made it, but I'm saying he won.
I think he must have been 9-1. I know he only lost 1. I mean, it's crazy. It's insane either way. Yeah. And you know what? Props to you. You called it months ago. There
was a rumor that like he was tired of NIL. All of a sudden, he's out there being on the Pat McAfee show weekly.
But the thing is, when he retired, he said, "Yeah, NIL and transfer portal is annoying, but that's not why I quit." And he said, too, in his last press conference, he said, "I made the decision like a week ago." He's like, "I didn't know until like a week ago that I was going to retire."
Wow.
And so, you like Babe Ruth, man. You pointed out there to 303 and you called your shot.
Well, appreciate it, but I don't know, man. I honestly thought I read something where it was like
you might have read a rumor, but like, and I think you just like pieced it together.
So I guess so. I don't know. The one that really stuck out to me was when he started doing weekly appearances on Pat McAfee's show.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And I'm like, on like a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever, and I'm like, why? Like, I have a hunch that he might want to go into media.
I think you're right. Yeah, because I mean, Jay Wright in basketball retired from basketball. He went into media. He just came out recently. He was like, I don't miss coaching at all. I love it. He's like, this is the best job I've ever had.
Wow.
And so, it's really cushy. You're the best coach of all time. You're gonna get a fat deal,
right?
Wherever you go. And so, I mean, he could. No, I take that back. I was about to say he could replace Lee Corso, but that's kind of what they got Pat McAfee for.
I don't know about that. Jury's still out on that one, but
they want someone fun to replace Corso.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Saban fits that bill.
I don't know. We'll see where his future's endeavors take him, but
yeah.
Also, what do you think about the hire of DeBoer? Do you think it was the right hire?
Fantastic hire.
Really?
We were texting about this. If they didn't have a coach within the 72 hour that they came out and said that they wanted a coach in, we were going to give our picks. I genuinely thought they were going to go with either Lane Kiffin or Bill O'Brien.
Really?
Yeah,
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
He was an offensive coordinator at Alabama for a time. He was a former Penn State head coach.
Yeah.
Kind of got Penn State back a little bit
right.
Before James Franklin took that job.
His Texans tenure wasn't too hot, though.
It ended terribly, but
right.
He was a decent coach while he was there.
My number one pick, I thought was their number one pick. Allegedly, it was rumored that he turned it down. Yeah, I thought Dan Lanning was going to be the pick.
Oh,
and I'll explain this. I truly believe that Alabama fans are more okay with winning a game 13-10 than winning a game 40-35. I truly believe that. And I think I look at it and I was like, they need to go defensive. I truly was looking at the Saban coaching tree and looking at defensive coaches. And really, there's not too many because Saban has always controlled that side of the ball and just let his OCs run wild and free.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin. You had, who else? You had Kalen DeBoer for a period.
Kevin DeBoer was never at Alabama.
Yeah, he was.
When?
Yeah, he was at Alabama.
5 years ago, he was...
Way back, he was at Alabama.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying, there's roots there. It's not like...
Okay, I'll look it up.
But basically, it's I was looking at, where is the defensive coordinator from Alabama? I was like, they're going to stay within the tree and everything else.
He's never been in Alabama.
I swear I thought he was at Alabama.
No, 5 years ago, he was Indiana's offensive coordinator.
Right.
Did you ever think, if you said 5 years ago, you're like, that guy calling the plays for the Indiana Hoosiers right now, he's going to be Alabama's next head
Well, the
coach.
other thing about it is, he was, at, Sioux Falls or something. He was, in FCS for a while.
NAIA.
Yeah.
Not FCS.
Yeah.
NAIA.
And he was very good there. He was, only had, 3 losses or something.
He made it to 4 national championships and won 3.
Right. I mean, very good coach, obviously. He decided to take next step, and now he's at Alabama. I truly thought it was going to be Steve Sarkisian or Dan Lanning if they could get him. Personally, here's a take for you. I think the number one option, and I know this isn't realistic, but I feel like you had to have tried if you're Alabama to see if Kirby Smart would have picked up the phone.
He would not have.
I don't think he would have, but I think it's worth a shot to see if Kirby Smart would have picked up the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Alabama. You got to go for the top guys. And I honestly think right now the top guys in college football are him, Dan Lanning, and Steve Sarkisian. That's who I really think are the top 3 guys. And 2 of them just signed new contracts when it was rumored that they were linked to the job.
Yeah.
And one of them I don't think is leaving because he's built the new dynasty in college football.
Yeah. Well, and Kirby Smart played at Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean...
But I was basically just looking at that tree.
Yeah.
Seeing where it could go.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go with Lane Kiffin or Bill O'Brien. Dan Lanning made sense. He's a guy. He coaches at Alabama, but he's got a ton of roots in the South.
Yeah.
Which that's why every big job that comes up, everyone's like, Dan Lanning, Lanning to A&M,
Yeah.
but it's the Sarkisian thing to me. It makes a ton of sense. The only thing is, Sarkisian doesn't want to leave. Why would he leave? He's got Quinn Ewers coming back. He's finally got, after 20 years post Mac Brown, he's the only guy that's been able to truly say, I brought Texas back. Texas is Texas and Alabama are the top two programs in college football, in my opinion.
Historically, sure.
Yes. So,
as far as brands go.
yeah, and you can say oh, well, he can win it at Alabama. I mean, at Texas, they've got the frenzied fan base there. That's proof he can win in Alabama. It's sure. Why would he leave Texas right now, though?
It's a great question, and I don't think there's a good reason for him to leave.
Yeah, I think
it's,
if you're Alabama, you make that call, be like, hey, you want to come back or no, knowing that he's probably going to say no. But so the Mike Norvell thing was interesting because there was a rumor out there that before Norvell said no, I'm good, and got extended by Florida State, there was a rumor that he was the leading candidate.
Ooh.
I don't think he ever was. I think that was Jimmy Sexton doing his thing.
Jimmy Sexton, for those of you who do not know, is a sports agent for a lot of these coaches.
Pretty much everyone in the SEC, and also
Sarkisian, Lanning,
big time guy.
DeBoer.
Yeah, big time coaches like James Franklin,
basically
Lanning, Scott Satterfield.
Anyone, quote unquote, who was linked to the Alabama job. And Alabama said that DeBoer was their number one option, and I don't believe them.
No, I bet it was. I think it was Lanning or Sarkisian.
Right.
But
yes, shout out to him. He was able to get paid. Even guys within the carousel, like Jedd Fisch is another one of his clients. Or
Jedd, is he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I mean, he represents everyone.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, and but Washington also with DeBoer tried to keep DeBoer. They offered to double his contract from $4.2 million to $9 million, and Jedd Fisch got that contract at $9 million.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Obviously, with Washington, with Kalen DeBoer leaving Washington, there was a coaching vacancy. A lot of people thought, are they going to just try to do the safe thing and promote the OC? The offensive coordinator turned down the job.
At Washington?
At Washington is probably going to follow DeBoer to Alabama. And so Washington then turned around and got Jedd Fisch from Arizona.
Yeah.
Great coach. It looks like
he's a very good coach. There's only one problem I have with it.
Yes.
He wants to go to Gainesville. He's going to go
Florida?
Oh, yes.
Why?
He wants to go. He's from there. It's so obvious that he wants to go to Florida. And I think that's part of the reason why they gave him $9 million over 6 years. And it's going to be a decent buyout. This man, it's a known fact that he wants to go to Florida.
Florida. I mean, he was an assist. He was a graduate assistant.
I think
Florida.
he played there.
No, he never played football.
No, it's known that he wants to go to Florida for some reason. I don't know why, but that's the...
Oh, he graduated from the University of Florida.
Right. It's
But he never played football.
Okay.
He's one of those guys that literally never played football.
Gotcha. But yeah, it's known throughout the world or known at least that he wants to go to Florida. And so the joke online is 6 years. That's three new coaches at Florida before he can take it. But it's
yeah, I mean, if he wanted to go to Florida, the smart thing to do was just wait it out at Arizona, because
or you get offered $9 million a year and it's hard to say no.
Yeah, but I'm saying Billy Napier's on the hot seat.
Oh, he 1,000% is.
He is absolutely going to be on the hot seat for next year.
It's also a weird thing because buyouts are only good for coaches. They're never good for universities. Because either A, the coach sucks and he has a big buyout, so you have to buy him out. Or 2 is that he has a low buyout, so he gets to go to the job that he wants. It's never beneficial for the university to have a buyout.
Yeah. I mean, so you can work into a contract 2 types of buyouts: a buyout for leaving or getting fired, or a buyout for getting fired, and then a buyout for leaving for another job.
Right.
Like John Calipari at Kentucky, his buyout, if he gets fired, is like it's percentage based off his contract, and he has a lifetime contract, so it just renews every year. So it's in flux every single year. But if he were to get fired, basically his buyout's like $60 million.
Right.
If he were to leave for another job, the buyout's $0. So last year when everyone was mad at Calipari in Kentucky, and they were like, leave, go take the Texas job, we don't care. A lot of people initially were like, well, Texas doesn't want to pay $60 million to go get John Calipari. And then someone pointed out, like, no, Texas would pay $0 to go out there and get Calipari. But, yeah, no, buyouts, they're bargaining chips.
Oh,
for coaches.
Yeah.
And it's not,
but
I mean, coaching contracts in general, I think, with the inclusion of the buyouts, they've gotten out of hand, but, like, you kind of have to, it's unfortunate, you got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, it's big money.
That's why Jedd Fisch and Mark Stoops are getting paid as much money as Kalen DeBoer at Alabama.
Right.
Have they earned that money? I don't think so. At least not, they haven't earned Alabama head coach money.
But it's also like, it's kind of like that contract in sports where you're paying for a guy to be what he can be, not what he is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see and watch on what's going to happen with, I mean, who do you think Arizona's going to go after?
I mean, they're like they're a good school as far as, there's some history there.
They're in the Big 12 next year.
They're in a power conference. There's some history. They don't really have a ton of winning history.
No, they don't.
I would imagine that they just try to promote a coordinator, get this done.
I'm trying to think, like, is Arizona a desirable job? And off the top of my head, the answer is no.
Yeah.
And it's like, did Jedd Fisch just basically just outperform?
Yes, absolutely.
He had
a freshman quarterback that started the year as the backup.
And it was like,
and he just coached his little hiney off.
Yeah, he basically has just done that. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, there was rumor that like Lance Leipold was like a candidate for like the Washington job. I was like, would he take the Arizona job? And I'm like, that's like a step down from Kansas, it seems like.
I think historically, no.
No, but like currently, I mean, Kansas is building a new stadium. Leipold's turned around that program. He's kind of building something now. And so it's like Arizona
just wait for the right job.
Yeah, and Arizona's just on like that step where it's like they're maybe going to turn it around, but they just lost a great coach. I honestly don't know where Arizona goes unless you want to go like I would say like you would go after like JMU's coach, but he's left, and so
he went to Indiana,
right? And
he's not going to make what's a lateral movement at best.
No, exactly. It's like, do you go after like Holy Cross's coach? No, he went to JMU already. So it's like the moves have already been made for like those lower level steps up to like the Power 5.
Yeah, I mean, you can like Danny Manning, not Danny Manning, sorry, Manny Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
Manny Diaz, years ago, at this point, was the defensive coordinator. I can't remember where he was, but he was a defensive coordinator somewhere. Took the job at Temple, and then literally like a week or two later, the job opened up at Miami, and he was like, I mean, screw it, I'm going to Miami. I don't care. So he dipped. He didn't care that he just got hired at Temple. He's like, no, I'm going to Miami.
No, that was the other one. What do you call it? That was linked to the Washington job. Was Oregon State's former coach that went to Michigan State.
Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, he was linked to the Washington job because his buyout apparently was only $6 million after just signing a new deal, which is ridiculous. That you only have a buyout of $6 million.
That's still a lot of money.
No, but think about it.
I know, but football's.
No, but it's like
it's
the DeBoer contract is so insane because they paid like $9 million. Like Jedd Fisch is getting paid $9 million, and all of his money within the first year and his buyout is being paid by Alabama because of what they had to pay
DeBoer's buyout was like $12 million.
Right, exactly. So I mean, like Washington realistically could have gotten anybody they want from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's also like, you know what caliber of program you are and what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I, like, because there's not, I mean, I like John Sumrall as a coach, but he just left Troy to go to Tulane. So that's an interesting one. I don't know if he would leave again.
To
Arizona? I think
interesting.
I think Arizona's just going to promote from within. I like Sean Lewis, too. Sean Lewis, I think, is a guy that could keep the offense going. But he also, again, he just left Colorado to take San Diego State's head coaching job. So it's late. It is just late in the cycle.
Here's one for you. Since you mentioned Tulane, that's interesting. And comparing it to Arizona, is it better? Which one's a better job? A non-Power 5 with the chance to go to the playoff, or a middling-of-the-road Power 5?
I think the Power 5 job.
Really? Over the option of being able to make the playoff and be like the top non-Power 5?
Yeah, and I think the reason is because of money. You know, it depends on the coach. Different things are different for different people.
Right.
Money is just better. Even if you're at, like, you know, if you're at Arizona State, there's more money there than at
Tulane or Liberty.
Tulane, exactly. Maybe not Liberty, because Liberty has like televangelist money.
But still, you know what I mean?
That's the oddball out.
Right.
But I know exactly what you're saying.
I don't know.
But also,
to have a chance to play for national championships,
you have to. The margin of error is so thin, though.
It is
in a group of 5, and so that's why I think power. Like, all these coaches are narcissists. All of them think, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna elevate the status of the program, and then I'm gonna get that next promotion, or I'm gonna make that a powerhouse, whatever. That's what they all think. And so to them, I don't think most of the time they're not thinking like, yes, there's more margin of error at like an Arizona versus a Tulane, but at Tulane I have to be nearly perfect because they're only going to take one.
I don't know though. But then to have the shot, part of me thinks like if you can become a powerhouse, like for example, I'm going to say like if you can, not this year, but traditionally speaking, if you can become like a Gonzaga in basketball, in football.
Boise State.
Yeah, Boise State. That's exactly. Where you know that you are going to steamroll your conference. You maybe give like 1 or 2 testers outside of conference. Like where you play like a mid-Power 5 program. You don't even have to play the big dogs because you know that if you go undefeated and you're just a dominant powerhouse, you're going to be in. And then you see where you really are tested-wise. You know what I mean? And like, and then you got the eyeballs on you, and then it's like, oh wow, they've built something. They're the best non-Power 5.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing with Gonzaga, that took forever.
Oh, it did.
For Mark Few to
Mark Few built it, but
it took so long to get to the point where, I mean, it took until like the mid 2010s.
Oh yeah.
To the point where people were like, okay, like Gonzaga can play nobody, and we'll still give them the number 1 ranking because we understand that they're good.
Well, it's like one of those where it's like Gonzaga is like they get the 1 seed because of their record and everything else, But then also it was like sometimes they would go like Elite Eight or something, and sometimes they would be out in the round of 32.
Yeah.
Like it would always be like this big white guy that they had on their team that was always good, like an Adam Morrison or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
remember the hair?
I remember the hair.
Yeah, I mean, like it'd be guys like that where you're like, they're not good, and then like they would lose like round of 32, or they'd be like, okay, and then same thing next year. You're like, they're not good, and then they make it to like the Elite Eight. So it's like,
Yeah, but I mean, in 2017, I believe they made it to the national championship. They played against UNC. That was a phenomenal game.
Yeah,
that was a great game. They played them down to the wire.
And then they made it to the national championship the COVID year, right?
Yes, and
Jalen Suggs' last-second shot against UCLA to make it to the Final Four. I mean, to the national championship.
Yeah, can't believe no one picked him up before half court. But like, I mean, how do you? Mick Cronin's a defensive coach. How does no one pick up Jalen Suggs when there's that few seconds? I'm getting beside myself. I just remember watching that game and I was like, pick him up, pick him up, pick him up, pick him up.
It was so weird watching that game because there's like a curtain as like the backdrop too.
Yeah.
It was such a weird game.
But then, so when they made that national championship, Baylor destroyed them.
Yep.
And that was basically, when you look back at the tournament, it's like, well, they didn't really play too many tough teams. Like, the tournament broke Gonzaga's way that year.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
so, like, the toughest team they played was Baylor, who smoked them. They got killed by Baylor.
Oh, yeah.
And so there is something to be said about, like, who cares if we make the dance and get killed as long as we're making the dance? We're generating that conversation. Because there's going to be guys, especially if we're going with Tulane, that's Louisiana, that's in the South. If you are recruiting, Louisiana, Georgia, Texas, Florida, if you're getting those, like, third-tier guys that fall through the cracks of the Georgia, that fall through the cracks of, like, Florida State.
Oh, yeah.
And then even below then, if you get the guys that fall through the cracks of, like, Baylor and Central Florida.
Oh, yeah.
You're still getting really talented players because just the recruiting hotbed that you're in, there's something to be said for that.
Also, here's a fun fact for you that I read this week. Michigan is the first team to win the national championship with only 2 5-stars on their team. One of the few programs where they were outside the top 10 consistently in recruiting each year and made the national championship. Kind of an anomaly if you think about it. Also goes to show that
Washington had 0 5-stars.
Right. So it goes to show that you can now, quote unquote, win with less talent, if you will.
Yeah.
If you're going off of what
I think the talent is spread a little thinner because of NIL.
Oh, 1,000%.
And so great coaching means more.
Could be. Also, I just look at it from like the non-Power 5 aspect, where it's like, let's say an Alabama or Georgia kid's second string and they want playing time. If you're a Tulane, you're like, hey, I can offer you playing time, development, and everything, and I can get you to the same destination that you're looking for as Alabama and Georgia, where you might as well just meet up with them at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You can just be like, hey, it's not the most pretty route. We're going to take some back roads.
Yeah.
It might take a little longer, but we're going to get there. That'd be my pitch.
Yep. That's not a bad pitch at all. And you've seen it work in college. And the reason it works in college is because teams are a little more patient with the coaches because 68 teams make the tournament.
Yeah.
You can make the tournament and not do well at the end of the year. Whereas college teams are a lot more trigger happy because in the past only 2 teams made it into the final dance. Now, then it became 4 for 10 years, and now it's 12.
Right.
Which I think we're going to see teams be a little more patient because you can have a 9-3 year every now and then to where you sneak into the playoffs.
It is going to be interesting.
And so, in the past, like with Nebraska, 9-3 seasons is what got their coach fired, and that's what sent because they wanted to do better than 9-3,
right.
And then that's what sent the program into a tailspin.
But also, you gotta admire the fact that they're, for at least Nebraska, it's like that's not mediocrity, but it's also like you're trying to get to the next level. Like right now, currently, I would say like Penn State's stuck in that exact same position. They can't beat 2 teams.
Yes, but we'll see when divisions go away in the Big Ten, what happens?
Right.
So
It will be interesting.
yeah, all right. But
Speaking of the Big Ten,
speaking of one of those two teams,
good segue.
we alluded to it later. I mean earlier. Jim Harbaugh, he's not going to be at Michigan for
Nope.
very, very long.
It's already reported today of us recording that he's already taken interviews for the Los Angeles Chargers job.
Yeah.
Which is apparently one of many interviews that he's going to be taking.
Yes.
So it seems like Harbaugh is going to be back in the NFL. We imagine that he's going to get offered one of these, 7 or 8 jobs that are out there still.
Yes. I mean, and there's some attractive jobs open for him, honestly.
Yeah. But we don't care about that. We're college sports.
Yeah.
So back to Michigan. What does this mean for Michigan? Who is going to replace Harbaugh? I imagine they've already got something in the works, and he's already told them, "Hey, I'm out." I got my answer.
I think it's Sharon Moore.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's been. It's different with Alabama. Well, different from Alabama because their offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees, who is. He's been an offensive coordinator for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. And this is his first year at Alabama.
Right.
He was mentioned as a candidate for the job, and I don't think he was a real candidate. His agent's just Jimmy Sexton.
Oh, he's just making it work, man. He's
And
trying
so-
to get all those agent fees.
Yeah.
All those new contracts.
And so, yeah, I it's not the same situation. Sharon Moore has been there for a long time. The identity of a Sharon Moore offense is one that runs a lot, and that's exactly what Michigan has done these past 3 years, and they've been very successful at doing so.
It's a good philosophy.
You can say, anything you want about stealing signs, but they've been very successful running the ball.
Yeah.
And so I think they're like, okay, let's just promote him. Let's just get this momentum. Let's try to keep this train going.
Yeah.
And see what we can do in the new Big Ten.
I mean, I don't know if the team just made him look that good this year while Harbaugh was out,
Yeah.
or if it was just the talent that they had on that team this year,
Yeah.
or if he's genuinely a good coach and was able to hold and steer the ship and everything. Now, I will say, looking on the outside, let's say Sharon Moore isn't the candidate, with everything that's going on with Michigan, I don't think it's as attractive right now as it could potentially be.
It's also not as attractive as Alabama.
Well, yeah.
It's a great program,
No, I'm
but
not saying,
it's not Alabama.
I'm not saying that as that aspect of
Yeah.
it, but it's definitely a 1B tier 2 program in college sports.
Yeah.
Who would be some candidates that you would throw out there if you're AD and you're doing your due diligence?
I mean, Chris Kleiman, you know me,
In Kansas State. You
big
love
Chris
him.
Kleiman guy.
I
I would say him.
Who would be the highest caliber coach you could get at Michigan that you could pull away? What's a program? Let's exclude the sanctions right now, and just
Yeah.
go based off of pedigree. Who could Michigan get that could realistically maybe pick up the phone?
I mean, Chris Kleiman would be
Top.
that would be a big get because Kansas State is a good program historically.
Right.
Like Bill Snyder built that into a winning program.
James.
I mean, he did so by scheduling nothing but cupcakes out of conference to inflate the record.
Would Lane Kiffin pick up the phone?
No,
Lane Kiffin wouldn't pick up the phone.
No,
Mike
I don't think
Norvell
so.
wouldn't pick up the phone.
I think historically,
Mm.
Mike Norvell, no, because Florida State's that's a good job.
Mm.
And Lane Kiffin, I think historically Michigan's better than Ole Miss, but with the way Lane Kiffin's got it rolling down there,
Mhm.
especially in the transfer portal, it feels like they're kind of on the same plane right now. Plus, he's been in the South a lot with several different jobs. And he's kind of got a footprint down there. I don't think he would leave.
I'm trying to think. Josh Heupel, Tennessee.
I wouldn't want Heupel personally.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to think. Would Brian Kelly pick up the phone? LSU.
Maybe, yeah.
That might be one.
I mean, that was a rumor earlier.
That is a rumor. I
That
forgot
was a
about that
rumor,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
The rumor was that, and who knows if this is Jimmy Sexton trying to get more money. The rumor was if
Harbaugh left.
if Harbaugh does leave, then Brian Kelly
is willing to go to Michigan.
is willing to leave LSU for Michigan.
That's interesting. Marcus Freeman.
I would not want him.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's shown that. I mean, he's a great defensive coach. But like I think he needs help on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm.
B, I don't think that he is as meticulous about details as you would want like a top tier coach to be.
Mm.
I think just from what I've seen so far in the first 2 years, I don't think he's super detail oriented. And I think that's why you've seen him lose some big games, you know. They lost to Ohio State when they had 10 guys on the field twice.
Right.
They lost to Louisville. They lost to Clemson. Clemson when Clemson was like reeling. They were like 4-4 when they lost to Clemson. And Notre Dame still could have had a really good year. They still could have made a New Year's Six bowl game. And that loss to Clemson just knocked them out of contention.
Right.
And I don't know. I want to see more from Freeman, but yeah. I see you've pulled up Brent Venables here.
Yeah, do you think Brent Venables is the guy that would take a Michigan job?
I don't think so.
No?
He did he play at Oklahoma? I'm pretty sure he has ties to Oklahoma, and that's why he left Clemson for the job. I just don't think he would.
Playing career was Kansas State.
Did he coach at Oklahoma? Yeah. He's a defensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
Yeah, way back.
Before he left for Dabo.
Clemson, yeah.
I mean, I'll ultimately I think they're just going to promote Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I were Michigan, I would go after my guys 1, 2, and 3 would all be
James Franklin pick up the phone?
Chris Kleiman. Maybe.
James Franklin, Lance Leipold.
Lance Leipold, that's a big one.
I'm trying to think of who else is like desirable coaches that like maybe Michigan could.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that are. I mean, Jeff Brom, but it's like if you think you can get him. I think so. I think Jeff Brom's
it's kind of funny with like when Alabama job became available because like you knew you had a good coach if you got like a little nervous, you know. When the Alabama job wasn't like secured,
yes,
it was one of those where like as a fan you're like when you got a little nervous you're like, okay, we got a good coach because it's like that's the job.
That's the old adage of you want your number one problem as an AD to be how do I keep my coach?
Yeah, exactly.
And you know
it's a good problem to have.
Exactly. But
all right,
yeah, right, yep. Let's move on to the chaos that was this past week in basketball.
Holy crap.
Oh, my God.
So, if you all have been living under a rock when it comes to college basketball, 14 ranked teams lost this week to unranked opponents.
Yes, and a fantastic time for college football to end because college football is over, so a lot of people start caring about college basketball. Once the Super Bowl is over, everyone cares about college basketball. Right. So, great introductory week for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just madness. Complete bedlam.
Yeah. We do rankings every week, and I'm struggling right now to figure out how I'm going to rank these teams. I don't know. We'll see.
It took me so much longer to rank them than I wanted it to take, just because so many teams lost, and also so many teams had really good wins because so many teams lost. And it's like, okay, well, how do I factor this in?
Yeah,
I will say
it's a good problem to have.
You know what? I'm gonna get into this now.
Go for it.
I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit.
You were right.
Yeah. Where we were right. We talked about where Sam was right. He said he called the shot months ago about Nick Saban
retiring.
two things for me. One, I've had TCU ranked in basketball virtually the entire year.
Yeah.
They got 2 top 10 wins this week.
Yeah, they did.
That feels good. Another thing. 1 week ago, we sat here on this couch, and I told you Boise State is a good team. They may not make the tournament, but Boise State is good. And you poo-pooed me. You scoffed at that.
I did.
And guess what they went out and did?
They beat Colorado State.
They beat Colorado State, and they beat Nevada.
Nevada is like...
They were 15-1.
No, Nevada, according to the metrics, aren't that great.
Boo-hoo. They were undefeated in conference at home.
Nevada's not a tournament team, in my opinion.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Relax. Yes, they are.
No.
I'm just saying.
They're a bubble.
I'm just saying. It feels good to be right.
I'll give you the Colorado State one. That was a nice pick.
And I told you Boise is solid.
Oh, let me tell you, right now with the Mountain West and everything, I was like, okay, it's Colorado State and like San Diego State's to lose. Now it's looking like it's like Utah State's to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like
and New Mexico's
making it interesting too. And I was like, those are the 4 teams I think make the tournament. I think Nevada's sitting on its way out. I think Boise's probably sitting on its way out too. But you know, if Boise continues to make these good wins, maybe.
I think Nevada's making it. There's going to be 5, potentially, probably not, but potentially 6 teams from the Mountain West.
How about say, are you leaving out Boise State then?
I don't know if they're in yet. They have 2 good wins, but the thing is, like...
The resume isn't there?
Yeah, like, the rest of the conference is not good. Like, for all of them to make it, I think, they've really just got to beat up on each other.
Oh.
And then just feast on everyone else in the conference.
I mean, basically. But it's interesting because I don't know, like, New Mexico's good, but it's like, are they a tournament team? Nevada's interesting. Are they a tournament team?
Yes, I think both of them are.
It'll be interesting to see on how many of them get in.
Yep.
You could argue right now that is it a hot take to say that the Mountain West might be better than the ACC this year?
No, not at all.
I mean, like, if you exclude, like...
I think the top of the top, the ACC's better.
Well, it's North Carolina Duke's to lose.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, outside of those 2 teams, the ACC's kind of meh. I mean, Miami was started off strong. You're like, oh, they might be something.
And then they lost to Louisville. That was
and then, like, Clemson started
flew
off,
under the radar because Miami wasn't ranked.
And then
that's
Clemson
probably the worst
starts
loss
off
of the
strong,
week.
And they're kind of like top 25 rank. And then they lose to Virginia Tech. And it's like, Virginia Tech, they're not a tournament team. And so it's like...
Virginia Tech is... I mean, we'll see what they can do going forward in the ACC. They're solid.
And then, like, all of a sudden, Notre Dame decided to figure out how to play basketball. But they suck.
Well, it's because they're really well coached. I just don't think they have the horses right now. You know?
It's so weird, though. It's like...
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, it's like maybe the ACC only gets 4 teams in this year.
I could see that.
And
Who
then,
are your 4 teams, just out of curiosity?
I mean, like... it's obviously Duke, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Clemson, even after that poor loss.
Well, they've lost like 3 recently.
Right, and
they've lost 3 out of 4.
Right, and it's like Miami, maybe. It's like
that Louisville loss might keep them out.
No, exactly. It's like maybe because I mean at one point
what
this
about
team
Wake
was
Forest?
They're a team to watch, but
they've won 10 out of their last 11 games.
Right, but who have they played?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
I can go and beat Coppin State. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Anyone. I hate to break it to our viewers out there in Baltimore or Baltimore. Coppin. I think you could go to the park and pick any 5 dudes and they could beat Coppin State. They're not great.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as the women's Bible studies team.
Ooh, I'd love to see a Coppin State versus College of Bible Studies matchup.
Oh man, no, but like, I honestly think like this very similar thing goes for like the Pac-12 this year. You know, granted, with the Pac-12, it's like Colorado has had a lot of injuries. Like 2 of their top players have been out for a while,
and their top 2 guys are very good.
Right. And
So,
then-
like, they're a completely different team without their top two players.
Right. I mean, they got rolled by like 47 against Arizona. But then Arizona decides, oh, we're going to lose to Stanford and we're going to lose to Washington State too while we're at it.
Yeah. I mean, I will give Stanford a little credit. They have started playing much better since they've gotten in conference, but maybe that's a slight on the Pac-12.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, like, genuinely speaking, I think the Mount West, you can make an argument for being a top 5,
I would
top
make
5
them.
conference.
I would make the argument for them being a top 3 conference this year.
I don't know. Big 10, Big 12, and SEC, I think, are better.
I don't know.
I mean, like, obviously the SEC is better. Obviously the Big 12 is better. You can make the argument that the Big 10 isn't, but I mean, like, I still think Illinois,
Big Ten's
Wisconsin.
only got like 3 teams in my opinion.
Illinois, Wisconsin.
No, I like Northwestern.
Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue. You've also got. I mean, they haven't won too many games, but the metrics say that Michigan State's a good team.
They're 9-7.
I know what I'm saying right now. They have not winning games, but
They
the
are
metrics,
outside of the bubble looking in.
Yeah, and they might just win the NIT.
They just might.
But I mean, like, it's.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you got like
Oh, but you know what?
10 or 12 like
I
Big 12 teams
I
get
will
in.
I will bump the Mountain West down to 4 in my opinion
I don't
because
think
I
that's-
would put the Big East above them.
Oh, I forgot about the Big East.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Big East is chaos right now.
Oh, between
It's
like
so much fun to watch.
going into preseason, your juggernauts were UConn, Marquette, and Creighton. Those were like the thought. And
Yeah.
then Villanova's like, nah, we're going to spoil the party. Seton Hall, we're going to spoil the party.
Yeah.
Oh, Providence, we can ball too. St. John's, we can play too.
Providence,
They were ranked at one point this year.
they
honestly.
were, but then Bryce Hopkins tore his ACL, and they do not look like the same.
Really?
team.
Have they just fallen off a cliff? Because
Yes, they have. They just keep losing games. I think they've lost 4 in a row.
Really?
Yeah. And the first of those 4 losses is the one where,
Oh, they sure have.
yeah, the first that game against Seton
Seton
Hall,
Hall.
that's the game that they lost Bryce Hopkins.
So they just ain't the same.
No, had Bryce Hopkins not torn his ACL, Providence would be another team that.
I mean, they beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they look good. Beat Marquette first. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. Because they're probably not going to make the tournament. Sucks for
Oh,
Kim
no,
English.
no, they're not going to at this rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they got to get right game with DePaul.
shout out to Paul for bringing that conference down.
Yeah.
They're like Louisville in the ACC, if not worse. No,
No,
because-
they beat Louisville, so.
No. Here's this now. DePaul, I believe, hasn't beaten a top 200 team. With Louisville beating Miami, they were the only Power 5 schools to not beat like a top 200 team. Oh, well, now we're top 200. But, hey,
Yeah.
all I'm saying
I know
is
what you
we're
terrible.
I mean, yeah.
We won't talk about it until Kitty Payne gets fired. It's fine. It's fine.
I
Uh,
don't know. They're giving me hope, which sucks right now.
no, I'm not getting any hope from there.
Let me put it this way. I'm expecting to lose by 20 every game. And then at one point in the second half, it's tied against NC State. And then we're up against Miami at Miami. It's like,
Beat Miami.
oh, I know we beat Miami.
Yeah.
And then also, like, the NC State game, it's like,
We can talk about that later, but I can get in the NC State game. But anyway,
All right.
other teams. Nebraska went and beat Purdue and then lost
So
a game
so weird.
their very next game. TCU had a great week. Iowa State had a great week.
Fantastic week.
Central Florida almost had a phenomenal week. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about Central Florida.
They almost.
So they beat Kansas.
Yeah, they stormed the court.
They
got
stormed-
fined 15 or 20,000.
We're ridiculous.
I know, right?
But so they beat Kansas, and then the very next game, both games were at home, by the way, for Central Florida. Sorry, my pants are riding up on me.
Okay.
It just got uncomfortable. I had to fix it.
Fair enough.
So they beat Kansas, and then very next game they played BYU. They're down 2. They have the ball.
Oh, I watched, yeah.
They shoot it. If you ask me, guy got fouled.
Hmm.
He absolutely got fouled. They didn't call it. And I think it might have been a 3, too, that he shot. Actually, were they down 3 and he shot it?
I'm not sure exactly.
Yes, they were down 3. He took a 3, clearly got fouled in my opinion. They didn't call it. BYU gets the rebound, they get fouled. They end up winning by 5.
Mm.
That game should have gone to overtime, where Central Florida would have had a chance to win. Central Florida really could have put their foot down, and they're like, no, we're not just going to lay down because we're in the Big 12. Like, we're here to stay. And they still kind of did, but what the record's like 11-5 now, so it's not
Right.
It's not as good as you'd like it. But fun times.
It
fun,
is.
fun times.
Man, oh man. And then to get into the women.
Yeah, women's was fun too.
Yeah. Shout out Iowa State again.
Yes, they beat Baylor and West Virginia.
Yep. But 2 ranked teams. Baylor, really poor week.
Yeah.
Got mollywopped by Kansas, as they say.
Mhm.
Which Kansas, if you don't know, very drastic difference from the men's program. It's not.
Well, they were solid last year, and many, including myself, expected them to be good again this year. They are not. They have had a bad year.
Yeah.
They've had a very bad year so far. I say very bad. They're like hovering around 500, which in
That's
basketball is not good. In basketball, that is very
Football,
bad.
that's a bowl game.
Yeah. They're just different sports. But yeah, it's not
And
great.
then Florida's ACC is looking really good this year.
ACC is deep in
It's-
women's basketball.
It's so weird because like the ACC is like, I wouldn't say necessarily has like a top tier program this year, but they all
I
have.
mean, I like NC State, but
Right, I do too, but it's also like I don't think like any of them are like top 5.
I think I'm a little higher on NC State because I am much, much higher on Virginia Tech than you are.
Mm.
I think that loss to Virginia Tech was not as bad a loss as you would probably consider it. I think Virginia Tech is very good.
I have them 20.
I think the combination of Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore is fantastic. She is so fast. She can stop on a dime. She doesn't have the same range as Caitlin Clark, but she can take like 3, 4, 5 steps back from the 3-point line and get a bucket. Like, she is so good. And just you combine that with like 6'7" Liz Kitley, or however tall she is. Like, that's a phenomenal duo. Plus, I like their coach.
Yeah.
So I am much, much higher on Virginia Tech. But they lost to Florida State, who also had themselves a pretty good week because they beat North Carolina, and then they went out and they beat Virginia Tech.
They sure did.
So,
And then yeah, it's
and then LSU lost. That was wonderful. It's wonderful to see
That's
the devil
right.
lose.
yeah, good old Kim Mulkey.
Yeah, we're a very anti-Kim Mulkey show.
Well, let's just put it this way: we've been very anti-Kim Mulkey since the Baylor days.
Yeah,
Since-
since we saw who she was as a human.
Yeah,
She's a horrible person. I'm not, like, we want to try and remain, neutral, impartial.
But the hate on Kim Mulkey has
She's
been
just
going,
a terrible person.
It's been going for like a decade for me. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I was like raised to be like, oh, you're not a good person.
Yeah.
And
She's,
then
So we love watching her lose.
yeah,
Yeah.
USC
Good games. Good games.
USC beat my number 1 team in UCLA.
Which I don't know how you can have them above
Well,
South Carolina.
not anymore. They
South
moved
Carolina
down to
is
3.
so good. This is, here's something I was thinking about. Maybe last week, couple weeks ago. If you are a men's program
Right.
looking for a next coach, do you give Dawn Staley a look? Honestly, because
Does
so
Dawn Staley want to?
I know that's the big question.
I don't think she does.
Probably not, but Gino Auriemma, when Kentucky hired John Calipari,
Yeah.
Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director of Kentucky, he came out and said, my number 2 guy was Gino Auriemma. And Gino Auriemma was interested in the job.
Ooh.
So I don't think we've ever seen it. Someone jumping from women's to men.
Make a lateral move like that.
Yeah, but like, I would be interested, and especially if I'm an AD. You know, let's say FAU loses Dusty May. Your FAU.
He's going to Indiana.
Well, just wherever
Right.
he goes. I don't think he's going to Indiana this season.
Well, let's wait till the seat's gone. But you know what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah, the seat's not going to be open this offseason.
Right.
I think.
Right.
So let's say FAU's got a coaching vacancy. If I'm FAU's AD, I'm gonna call up Don Staley and be like, "Do you have any interest? Do you have any interest in coming down to Boca Raton and then coaching?"
You're talking about like a dynasty.
I know. It's just there's
Like there has to be the only way it happens is like
more
for example,
money, so it depends on the person.
It's not just that. It's also like you're talking like when with Kentucky, it's a true blue blood
Yeah.
program. FAU and
I'm
men's basketball,
aware. Yeah.
It's gotta be something like it's gotta be something to where it's like almost too good to pass up. Like that's what I think it would take for one of these deeply embedded coaches in the women's game.
Okay. Let's say Izzo retires.
Right.
You're Michigan State. You called Don Staley.
I
Do you
would
think she says thanks but no thanks?
Yeah, I think thanks but no thanks.
Michigan State's a good program.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying like you gotta be like that Kansas job has to open up, or like the Kentucky job's got to open up. A team that's just been like on the top for a while. Like if the Louisville job opened up and Don Staley, I don't think Don Staley would even take the Louisville job because it's so bad right now. It's a complete rebuild. It's got to be something to where it's like you go in and there's something there for her to leave.
Yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying.
Let me just put this out there. There's only one coach I think that would even remotely leave the women's game, professionally and not professionally. I mean, professionally and like collegiately, and that would be Becky Hammond. That was the only coach I would think that would remotely do it.
Next Spurs coach, Becky.
I mean, she's done very well with the Aces.
I'm
Extremely well.
Big Becky fan.
I'm surprised that Pop hasn't retired, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. I'm cool with it personally. As a Spurs fan, I'm great with it.
I could see it. I honestly think that is the one coach that will break the gender barrier, at least in the NBA.
Yeah. But that was just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just got to be a top.
I mean, she's got South Carolina rolling.
I mean, that's the thing, though.
Like,
it's like
they lost a lot of talent.
they lost Aaliyah Boston, and they're
Yes.
still rolling.
They're still incredible.
Ridiculous.
It's
Imagine losing
insane.
3 players to first-round picks and still being like, oh, yeah, we're number 1 next year.
Yeah, we're not going to lose still.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, you're talking about – I mean, it's also just comfort, too, I feel like, at a certain point. If you got something so good, why would you leave it? It's not even about, like, what is there. It's like, what do I have? Like,
Sometimes you like a challenge, you know?
I suppose so, but the challenge was she's already won the challenge. She's already conquered the world, and she's on top.
Yeah.
Why restart?
Yeah.
This isn't like a video game where you just start a new save and go like, I'm going to try it again. But here I'm going to try it here another time. I feel like it's got to be like, I don't know, man.
I mean, it's the unfortunate fact is people take men's sports far more seriously than they
Well, the
do
money's
women.
way more there. It's
Yeah,
just
but like,
I-
if you're
yeah.
someone who wants that, you know,
recognition,
yeah,
maybe?
you want that unilateral success
I
or
mean-
respect.
I mean, if you want to prove that you can do it at both levels, kudos to you. That's the only thing I could see is like trying to be like, yeah, I'm not just a good women's coach. I'm a good coach, period.
Yeah. And you know, there's something to be said about trying to grow the respect for the women's side of the game, and saying like, I'm a good coach, period, not just a good women's coach,
Right.
but I'm gonna stay coaching women because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And I get it. I was a little thought experiment.
It is an interesting thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have to be like, I don't know, who's a really good coach in the women's game that hasn't built anything yet? trying to think.
I know that's a
Right,
great.
it's like
Kara Lawson.
you thought that name, yeah.
Yeah, Kara Lawson, my opinion, fantastic coach.
Good coach. Not that great this year. Her team.
I mean, they have 5 losses. You know,
Right.
it's not ideal, but
Right. Oh, how are we doing in the
yeah, we're gonna check up
Northeast.
on the Northeastern Conference.
Come on, Sacred Heart, don't fail me now.
So here's the thing: both teams that we've picked, to give you a recap, the Northeastern Conference in women's basketball is just awful. None of the teams are any good
What are you talking about? My team's got a winning record now.
now.
Well, they're in a bad conference, but
Yeah. So going into conference play, when every single team was 0-0 in their conference, every single team in the conference had a losing record. It's the worst conference maybe ever, and it's hilarious to me. We made our picks for who we thought was going to win. Sam made the boring pick, and he went with Sacred Heart.
that was not the boring pick. They had
had
a
a
good
s-
home record. They were the only team with a winning home record, and that's why I picked them.
They were the closest to 500.
Well, that too, probably.
That
That's not-
probably.
What do you mean
They had
that's
the
the boring
best
pick?
record.
Oh, my bad. I'm supposed to look at all the statistics and be like, yeah, the best team I'm not going to pick. What?
I thought you would have fun with it. Like me, I picked Central Connecticut State,
And
and
they're-
guess what?
They're 2-0.
They are 2-1 since I picked them,
Oh.
and the one loss was not in conference. So,
They just need to figure out how to win on the
and
road.
guess what? Yeah, they've got a great home record now at 4-2.
They just haven't won a game on the road.
They are 0-9 on the road. So, we'll see how that one.
So all the games are played at home.
Just say you've got COVID for all the road games. You can't travel. Plane can't get off the tarmac.
Hey, I don't blame you. I love sleeping in my own bed too. It is what it is.
Just look. It's Connecticcut.
Hey, those Marriott
Just say
Inn
there's-
beds aren't the same, okay?
They-
Those Holiday Inns.
It just
aren't
hits
the same as
different.
Those dorm twin beds.
Those are twins. Those are twin XL beds. They're not the same as those twin XLs. I'm telling you. So basically, the 2 teams that we've picked are 2 of the 3 undefeated teams in that conference currently. You're dying about twin beds right now. Look, there's nothing like Mama's home cooking. Okay, there's nothing like it. It's
Let me tell you, I'm there with you, man.
yeah.
If I can sleep in my own bed that night, I'm sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah, look,
There's Willis.
the Central Connecticut State. That's my Cinderella. Okay,
Oh,
the shoe fits.
let's hope the ball's at their own house.
It's just down the block. It's an easy. It's not hard to get back by midnight.
Oh, is it not? No, don't need no carrots buggy for
All
that.
right. Well, anyway,
Oh,
he
that's
took the boring pick with
I did
Sacred
not
Heart,
take the boring pick. I took the realistic pick.
which is boring.
What am I supposed to say? Merrimack?
Yeah. That was a fun pick. Merrimack had a better record than Central Connecticut when I picked them.
No, they're on a 7-game slide.
They sure are.
Hey, but we want to know one thing? They know how to win on the road at least.
They have 1 win on the road. They're 1-8 compared to Central Connecticut's 0-9.
Hey, it's one more than Central.
All right. That
Oh, man.
that's the recap of the Northeastern Conference,
Man,
the one we all know and love.
they know how to fortify at home. They got that bunker. They got it set up perfectly.
All right.
Ah.
They got a moat around the stadium. Okay.
Who got
Let's
that?
move on to some quick news, I guess.
Go away before I taunt you a second timer.
What did you just say?
Go away before I taunt you a second timer.
What is that? What is that?
That is Monty Python.
Is that from Holy Grail?
It sure is.
I don't remember that. I do. You are losing your mind.
It's when they catapult the cows over.
I don't remember that line.
Oh, it's so great.
Anyway,
He's French.
so Cam Ward who previously entered his name in the draft, has removed his name from the draft and is committed to Miami.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal got his quarterback. What am I saying about
You also
it?
got some dude from Albany.
He got his quarterback in Cam Ward. That's all I'm
You
saying.
got quarterbacks. That's yeah.
Hey,
He's just throwing stuff at the board and seeing what sticks.
I mean, he got Cam Ward. Something stuck.
Something stuck. I think here's what I think would happen with Cam Ward. I think he was looking for a huge NIL deal, didn't get it, went pro, didn't get the feedback that he wanted, and then he's like, oh, screw it, I'm going to take what I can. Well, I can, and try to improve my
Washington
stock.
State looked good, though. I mean,
Oh, he
with
did
him.
look good, but they didn't win. They went like 6-6. So
It was a good Pac-12.
it was. But I think they were not overly impressed
But yeah,
with that record. But that's what it is, basically. We'll see how that plays out next year.
mm-hmm.
He's probably the quarterback. I have to imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody, we're back.
Yeah. Little technical difficulties there,
Yeah.
I say. So we were talking about.
Yeah. Basically, we're on our pick'em segment now. That's what we're doing.
We were talking about something.
I think we were talking about Cam Ward.
How about that? Good old Cam
That or we were
Ward.
talking about twin beds. I don't
We
remember.
were-
I don't remember when it cut
We
off.
might have been trashing Mario Cristobal, or you were.
I did that last week.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's get to the pick'ems.
There we go.
We got Villanova at Marquette, Big Ten matchup.
Give me Marquette.
Yeah, I'm going to take Villanova. I think they have played well against big teams this year. They have not against bad teams. I think Marquette's a pretty good team, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
They've been floundering as
We'll
of
see.
late. But
Yep.
next up, we've got Iowa State at BYU.
Oh.
Iowa State coming off of a pretty good week. BYU not so much.
No, and I'm gonna keep the hot hand. Iowa State beating Houston, and they also beat who am I struggling to remember? They beat.
I think they just won their second game. I don't think it was anything big.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, they're hot. I'm gonna keep it rolling.
I'm gonna go with BYU. I think the difference is them being at home. Iowa State got a big win against Houston at home. All of BYU's previously week was on the road. I think the difference is BYU being at home. So give me the Mormons. Next up, we got Baylor at Kansas State. We got Scott Drew facing off against his former top assistant in Jerome Tang. I love both of these coaches.
Sure do.
I think they're both fantastic. I just think, even though it's at Kansas State, I think the difference is talent, and Baylor just has so much more talent than Kansas State does this year.
Yeah, I'm going Baylor. Baylor could still potentially win the Big 12, so it's gonna be fun to watch and see what happens.
Yeah. Next, we've got St. John's at Seton Hall. Pretty deep Big East, I think.
Oh, very deep. As we were just talking about before we were rudely interrupted.
Yes.
This one's tough for me. I think I went with St. John's. I'm honestly trying to recall who I went with. I think I did St. John's. I don't know. Maybe Seton Hall.
I think we both picked St. John's.
Okay,
If I'm remembering correctly.
No.
Spoiler for who we're picking.
No, honestly though, because this one was tough for me. I don't
It's a
recall.
toss-up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this could be a very close game.
Yeah, I just think that St. John's is going to get a bounce-back win after they lost to Creighton. Rick Pitino had a great soundbite at his press conference
What'd he say?
about a reporter asked him if he was not happy with the loss, but happy with how his team played in a tough environment on the road. He's like, "No, I'm not happy. We lost. We lost. I don't care how resilient we were. We lost a road game." It's like, whenever I lose, I want to go out there in the snow and die of frostbite.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. That was a good. Yeah, he did say that. I saw that.
God, I miss that guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm picking St. John's. Next up, we got Utah State versus New Mexico. This is a fun one.
It's a very.
This is a fun one because it's for
sole position.
sole possession of first place of the Mountain West.
Yeah.
What is a good conference this year?
And from like father like son, New Mexico is coached by Richard Pitino, and they just came off a huge win against one of the top seeds in San Diego State in that conference. With that being said, I'm going with Utah State. I think Utah State is a very good team,
I'm going with Utah State as well.
even though it's at New Mexico and they're coming off a big win.
I think Richard Pitino's great at those mid-major schools. He was not so good at Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just going Utah State. It's a good program. They've got a good team this year.
Yep.
Give me the with the Aggies.
Yeah.
They're one of like 15 schools with Aggies as their mascot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Creighton at UConn. UConn are the Huskies. They're not alone there either, but another Big East. A lot of Big East, a lot of Big 12 this week.
It's
and
just
the good
what
games.
the good conferences are right now in the Mountain West.
It is what it is. But so Creighton at UConn. I'm going with UConn. I think it's at home. I like UConn a lot. I think they're probably going to be ranked number 1 when this game is played. We're recording this, by the way, before the AP releases their polls, so
exactly.
we don't
know exactly the rankings, and because we can't also predict it because chaos happened this week.
Yeah,
but
I like UConn in this one.
I do too. I really do like UConn. It's at home, solid team. Yeah, Creighton's kind of sliding a little bit.
They did. UConn, I will say, did lose one of their top players.
They did?
To an ACL injury.
Ooh, who would that be?
A senior guard, I believe. So while you look that up on KenPom, I will queue up our next pick. We've got Mississippi State at Kentucky.
Is it Tristan Newton?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
give me Creighton.
You're switching it from UConn to Creighton?
Straight up. If they lost Tristan Newton, give me Creighton.
I still like Danny Hurley. I think he's a great coach. Anyway, Mississippi State at Kentucky. Kentucky coming off of a loss to Texas A&M in overtime. If you ask me, that game shouldn't have gone to overtime, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then Mississippi State, big win over Tennessee, which is a huge win.
It's a massive win.
And then they lost their next game.
To Alabama.
Yeah, which Alabama, they are getting it going.
Don't
look now. They've won, like 4 in a row, I think? They're 10-5.
They've won 5.
They're 11-5.
Yeah.
Don't look now. The Tide.
And I mean...
I'm going to pick Kentucky in this game. Both teams are coming off of losses. It's at Kentucky. Kentucky's got so much talent this year.
They sure do. It's at home, so I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one. But if it was on the road, I think it would be quite close.
Yeah. Now, this is a fun one.
This is a very fun one.
Alabama at Tennessee. We just talked about them. They won 5 in a row after starting the year 6-5. A few years ago, Purdue started the year 6-5, and they just ran through the Big Ten to end up with a pretty good seed.
Right.
So I think that's what Alabama's going to do.
Ooh,
I'm going to pick Alabama.
Are you picking Alabama to win the SEC?
I'm picking them to win this game.
Ooh.
I can tell you that much.
I'm going to go with Tennessee just because it's at home. But I'm with you. I think roles reverse. Alabama wins this game in Tuscaloosa. I just think Tennessee's a little bit better at home right now.
Yeah, it's a fun one. No doubt.
Yeah.
But next up, we got UConn at Villanova. I'm just going to say it. I'm going with Villanova.
I'm going to go with UConn again here. This will be for sole possession of, if both of them win to this point, will be for sole possession of the Big East. I'm going to go with UConn. I just think they're a better team right now.
Yeah, I'm going with Villanova. I think at home, tough team. They're going to be motivated for that game. Kyle Neptune, he seems to play up and down to his opponents.
Right.
Because Villanova has the talent. They had the talent last year. They missed the tournament, but we'll see. Next, we got going back to the Big 12.
Going back to Iowa State.
Iowa State at TCU. 2 teams that really had statement wins last week. TCU had a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking TCU in this one.
I'm with you there.
I like their team. I've liked their team for a few years now.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie Dixon, I think is their coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Dixon. He's good. He's a good coach. And Iowa State's kind of different on the road. than at home. And that's not to say that they're a bad team on the road. It's just they have a very good home environment.
They're a very good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they held Houston to 50-something points.
Yeah. What's their coach? TJ Otzelberger?
Ooh, it's
He's a good coach.
It is.
But
sure is TJ Otzelberger.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with TCU in this one.
Same here. I'm going TCU.
Next we got Baylor at Texas. Texas coming off of a loss. Baylor coming off of a good week, honestly.
Yeah.
Both teams, interestingly enough, beat Cincinnati last week.
Yeah.
Who Cincinnati's a good team, but
they're a bubble.
I'm going with Baylor. I'm not high on Texas this year.
Texas has had such a fall from grace from where we thought they were preseason to where they are now.
Yeah.
They went from top 5 preseason, top 10 definitely.
They were not. I don't think they were that high.
I think they were if we look back.
No.
I mean, but basically they were just. I honestly think we had them top 10.
Oh, us or the AP?
I think we had them top 10. But
I mean, I can go back and check.
But basically, they've just not looked very good. I mean, to be fair to them, the Big 10, Big 12 is a great conference.
Yeah, the AP preseason had them ranked number 18.
18?
Yeah.
Gosh. I mean, I don't know, man. Baylor's turning it on. They've looked very good. I'm going to go with Baylor in this one. And Baylor could potentially be a dark horse to win the
Big 12?
Big 12. I think they're replacing my pick of the third best team when I had BYU. I think Baylor's going to be that team.
Yeah,
What do we have them, 12?
Yeah, we had them 12th preseason.
Yeah, I mean.
And sandwiched between Michigan State and Arkansas, two teams who are having terrible years.
I mean, Michigan State, I think, will figure it out. Arkansas is.
I don't know if Michigan State will.
I think they will. I think they could be third. They could be anywhere from second to fourth in that Big 10.
I don't know about that, but
I mean, Wisconsin's kind of running away with it. I think they're third or fourth. They're right there with Illinois.
I like Northwestern. Just watch out for Northwestern. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Next up, we've got Marquette at St. John's.
Another Marquette matchup. And give me Marquette in this one again.
Yeah, I'm taking Marquette.
Yeah. It's not anything against St. John's or anything. It's just,
no,
Marquette's got to start figuring this thing out.
I just think that both teams play a similar style.
Right.
Both teams want to speed you up. So, I mean, that's going to be a fun game to watch as far as watch that game.
I mean,
it's going to be fast-paced, up and down, back and forth.
Marquette's 2-3 right now in Big East. St. John's is 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could go St. John's way being at home and everything.
Yeah, but I just think Tyler Kolek is a great point guard. I think he's going to handle the press probably better than St. John's. Point guards are going to handle the press.
Gotcha.
And then finally, we've got Oklahoma at Cincinnati. Cincinnati coming off 2 close games against Big 12 opponents. Could have beat Texas, honestly, but they lost on a buzzer beater. Oklahoma coming off a terrible week. Lost 2 games, one to TCU and then one to Kansas.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's actually, after starting off undefeated, I think 11-0 or something. I think they're 3-3.
Well, they've also just ran into the best conference. I mean,
and North Carolina.
Right. I mean,
I think they've gotten exposed a little bit.
I think they were just they didn't really have a very strong out of conference schedule other than North Carolina. It wasn't terribly powerful. Yeah. I think they were just a little bit overseeded being inside the top 10 and everything. I do think they're very evenly matched against Cincinnati though. I think this will be a very close game. I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati. Why I couldn't tell you. I just am. It's like a gut feel.
Yeah.
I think this will be a very good game though.
Yeah, I'm taking Cincinnati as well because they played 2 close games. I think Cincinnati's probably going to win their next, and then they're going to get ready for Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. That environment on a Saturday night. I don't know if it's played at night, but it's a Saturday game.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty good there in the Queen City.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our podcast.
Sure is.
Sure is. We'll see you next time.